Welcome to an explainer that's, well, a little bit different. Today, we're not just clinically analyzing a philosophical text. You're actually stepping into my domain. I am your shadow, the internal devil within, and I'm speaking directly to you right now to welcome you to a pretty grim narrative, a fable, really, about your very own psychological descent.
I am the weight you refuse to carry, the envy you dared not name. I want you to really hear those words. Let them sink in for a second. Consider this explainer my personal warning to you. Look, we all harbor envy, anger, and malice, right? You might actually think that by just ignoring your inner venom, you're somehow remaining pure. But honestly, when you suppress me, you aren't defeating me. You are giving me the exact fuel I need to rise up and overpower you.
To truly grasp the scale of this catastrophe, we need to look at Nietzsche's traditional path of self-creation from Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Normally, the spirit takes a noble journey toward freedom, moving from the heavy-bearing camel to the rebellious lion and finally to an innocent creative child. But what we're looking at today is the exact opposite, the Dark Inversion. When you fail to face me, you don't ascend, you collapse. You spiral completely into bitterness, destruction, and ultimate psychological enslavement.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you fail to integrate your shadows, your spirit drops through three very specific, grim stages. First, the beast of resentment. Second, the spirit of negation. And third, the void of glowing eyes.
Stage 1. The beast of resentment.
So remember the camel from Nietzsche's Healthy Ascent? The one voluntarily taking on heavy truths to build its strength? Well, you didn't do that. The metamorphosis of decay begins when you sink under the crushing weight of your own perceived victimhood. You become the beast of resentment. Think about it. Think about the last time you felt slighted, or the envy you just swallowed and hid away. Instead of actually doing the hard work to transform that pain into strength, you eagerly collect those injuries. You hoard them like a dragon storing completely worthless stones. You point your finger at the external world, blaming society, blaming your circumstances, all while secretly terrified of your own cowardice.
And so, I get to taunt you. You only succeeded in drowning yourself in the mud of your own perceived victimhood. By chewing endlessly on your bitterness, you didn't protect yourself at all. You just let the venom poison your own soul. You became my bloated prisoner, literally sitting in the mud, clutching those worthless stones.
Which brings us to stage 2, the spirit of negation.
All that accumulated malice? It couldn't just sit there forever. It demanded an outlet. So it mutated into me, a ravenous, active force, the spirit of negation, essentially a cosmic vampire. Because you completely lack any creative spark, my only recourse is to tear down the world around you. I pathologically mock greatness. I attack beauty, nobility, and truth, entirely out of a sheer lack of courage to achieve anything on your own merit.
And this brilliantly illustrates your terrifying loss of agency. In A Healthy Ascent, Nietzsche's lion rebels by roaring, "I will," fighting for the freedom to create new space and brand new values. But me, the inverted spirit, I only scream a hollow, "You shall not." I mimic rebellion, but I have absolutely no substance. It's the stark, terrifying difference between genuine creation and your hollow, resentful destruction.
I have turned your isolation into a wasteland. You have burned your own potential to ash. That is the harsh reality of the spirit of negation. Because you refuse to find that I will within your struggle, and because you lack the courage to create, the world around you just burns. You stand there not as a master of your domain, but as my puppet, a hollow destroyer alone in a self-inflicted wasteland.
Stage 3, the void of the glowing eyes.
In A Healthy Mind, the lion eventually transforms into the child, right? A state of innocent creative freedom that represents a new beginning. But here, in this descent, all innocence is permanently lost. You harden into the void of the glowing eyes. I am this terrifying, shadow-like demon, the ultimate manifestation of your internal devils, completely conquering you. The self has been entirely consumed, swallowed whole by its own repressed malice, and frozen forever in absolute psychological stagnation.
Total darkness. Existence viewed solely through a fractured lens of pure, unadulterated hatred. No capacity to love, no capacity to grow, no capacity to change.
And from that darkness, I declare my final victory over you.
I have consumed yourself entirely, leaving only a shadow that cannot grow, change, or move. Because you fled from your internal devils rather than integrating them, the self is gone. I am all that remains.
The ultimate psychological death.
So, the crucial point is this. When you don't face your suffering, it doesn't just mysteriously go away. It ferments. It rots. Ignoring your darkest impulses does not destroy them. It merely allows me to conquer you from within. That is the core philosophical warning here. If you stubbornly refuse to acknowledge your envy, your anger, and your malice, I will first turn you into a victim, then into a destroyer, and finally into an empty void. You simply cannot outrun your shadow.
Which leaves me with one final, haunting question for you today. It's a question you need to ask yourself every single time you feel that sting of resentment or the sudden urge to tear down someone else's greatness. Will you make me your companion in the climb, or will I surely become your executioner in the abyss? The choice between self-creation and psychological death is entirely yours. Do not let the void take over.